Hello, hello, hello. It's Paul Anderson here. Welcome to the Hour Cramar. Going to work through some fiddle tunes. It's Wednesday night, so for me it's workshop night. Usually I'd be teaching in Huntly on a Wednesday, but I haven't seen one of my pupils for a few months now, since could even be the end of February possibly, because it was early March when we locked down. But anyway, nice to see a few folk popping in. Nearly only themes on Fid I'm going to do the night. I've just picked three tunes. They all happen to be tunes for the northeast of Scotland. The first one is going to be a waltz that I wrote. I don't think I've worked through any waltzes on these workshops that I've been doing while I've been locked down. So we'll do one of these, Loch Mick, one of my own tunes, and then we're going to try Hector a Hero, which is a very popular, a great favourite tune of James Scott Skinner's. You hear it lots of different styles, but I'm just going to take you through how I would approach it, and we'll finish up with a reel by Peter Mill, the Tarlin Minstrel. I posted 4 or 5 of his tunes today, and that really just put it in my head. So Deveron's Side is the reel by Peter Mill. So we'll start with Loch Mick. So if you've got the music, you can take a look at it. I'm going to play it through for a start, but obviously if you want to play along, that is perfectly fine, because I can't hear you anyway. But we'll go through it, and then I'll talk a wee bit about the music and the background, and then we'll go through it. It's a nice and steady tune, obviously, so it's quite easy to get to grips with. So Loch Mick. So that's Loch Mick, it's one of my own compositions. Loch Mick is, well, it's D-side, it's not very far from here, although I suppose it's probably maybe 15 miles, maybe. You go up to Ballater and past Ballater, head up Glenmick, and the most favoured route to go up Loch Nagar is the Spitla Mix car park, and it's maybe 3/4 of a mile to the end of the loch. It's very fjord-like to look at, actually. It's very deep, high-sided sides to the hills going into the loch, and it'd be the biggest loch in the northeast of Scotland. But I wrote this tune. It's not usual that this happens, but I got a phone call for a BBC Scotland radio programme called Out of Doors, and the question was, Paul, we're doing a programme that's going to talk about Loch Mick, and Mark Stephen, who's the reporter, he would go to the site and talk to folk about the loch, and they asked whether I knew any tunes about Loch Mick, so I actually didn't. So I went and wrote in. So this is what I wrote, and as regards waltzes, well, I play them quite like I play a slow air, in that it's quite lyrical. There's expression, louds and softs to give it a bit of feeling. But as a waltz, you need to consider the tempo. The tempo needs to be more or less strict, because it's a dance, so it's in waltz time, 3/4, and so you can't be too too lyrical with that interpretation of the tempo. You tend to want to keep it fairly strict, but you could play it as a solo, as a slow air quite easily. But if you're playing for a waltz, make sure that it's in a tempo that somebody could waltz to, and that's something you should bear in mind for any dance tune. So this particular tune, it's pretty straightforward. It's in G. There is one tricky bit that some folk will look at. It goes up into third position. That's its own issue for some folk. But practice is the thing. You shouldn't be put off by things being a little tricky. You should treat it as a challenge and get your teeth stuck into it. One anecdote I'm going to use before I go and play it again. George Best, to me, greatest football player ever. Everybody's got their favourites, but to me, I just thought he was an absolute artist with a fit bar. But he was, I think he was right-footed and he was weak on his left. And when he went to Manchester United, he would spend a considerable amount of time after training, after everybody else had gone, working on his weak foot to the point that it became, if not better than his strong foot, it was definitely as good as. And that's the sort of thing with weak things. If you've got a poor fourth finger, or you find third position or flat keys difficult, you should, the opposite of just avoiding them, because there is a tendency for humans to want to avoid difficult situations, but you should just take toe into them and work at it, and that will sort it out. So third position, it's a tool. In this particular tune, it is something you can't avoid because it's up in the third position on the E string, so you've got nowhere else to go except up. So I'll go back to the beginning and we'll take it again. Bowing, you can really suit yourself. What I've got there is one way I would play it, but I would vary that myself from time to time. So please never look at bowing on fiddle music as being definitive. I'll maybe mention a bit about grace notes as well. I'm sitting here myself just now, Shona's not in the room, so if folk are putting up messages, it's quite difficult to reply, but I will, if there's any questions when I finish, I will come back to them and I'll type them out with my big farmer's thumbs. Okay, but I'll try and keep on top of that as best I can, but it's going to be difficult while I'm doing it. So, Loch Mick, pronounced like the name Mick, as in M-I-C-K. It's nae pronounced as it's written, which is M-U-I-C-K. Muick. It's nae, that's nae, it's Mick, Loch Mick. So, don't be confused by that, because Scottish place names can be a bit confusing sometimes. So there you go. Let's have a go through it again. 1, 2. Okay, so I hope you like it. I like it. I mean, I recorded that myself. I certainly didn't play all my tunes. I've written over 500, and the bulk of these I never play. I never play again. But there's certain tunes that connect to my ear that I think, oh, I like that. And it's never like I try to write a good tune. It just sometimes you just the muse must be upon you, and it pleases you better. So I hope folk that like the tune. There's one thing maybe that didn't come across in this. I sometimes mark quite a lot of the ornamentation, and I've deliberately left it out of here because I think it's quite a good thing to be able to add in your own interpretation and notate the grace notes as you please. I never really think about grace notes. They come in for their space, and so it's difficult to talk about that, I find, because I never think about it. But things like waltzes and slow airs, the tune's moving slowly enough that there is lots of space. Can you excuse me just a second? The dog is scraping to get in the door. Just 1 second. Right, I'm back. Okay. It was beginning to get a bit irritating, sorry. So, for the beginning. See, that's full of grace notes already. So instead of going... It's like this. So they should just twinkle away in the background, and they definitely add something. It's one of these things when they're not there, there's a curious lack of something. It's very difficult to put your finger on, but if you have the grace notes there, they just add ornamentation. That's what they're called, ornamentation, because there's ornaments. So grace notes, just for their space, and I just find my fingers react as I really think about it. So yeah, free and easy. Make sure they're crisp and clean though, because if they're too slow, it's really distracting. They're not melody notes, they should just be kind of twinkling along the background. Not really that noticeable until you draw attention to them. Like that, rather than... So they add, it's almost a percussiveness that they add to the music, and it's just part and parcel of traditional Scottish and Irish as well, and to varying degrees. Only fiddle tradition has it, but certainly it may be there's a lot of the piping tradition comes into this, because with the pipes only having 9 notes and having one volume for the Highland pipes, certainly a large part of how you colour a music is with ornamentation. So there's maybe a part of that, but I think there's certain singers, well, I live very close to one, Shona. She has a lot of ornamentation in her singing as well. Might be because her dad's a piper, I don't know, but that definitely is something you should hear in your playing. So it's worth thinking about. The other thing I'm going to go on to is the third position. So let's go to that little second last line. So you've not only got to get up into third position, you've got to get back down again. So you're looking to do that as cleanly as possible. So I shift for the second finger to the third, except it's a first, so it's... So that would have been a third finger, becomes a first, okay? And when you're playing that, I mean, it's just practice, and I find that without really realising it, when I go up, when my hand comes up, it touches the body of the fiddle. And when the heel of my hand touches there, subconsciously I can my fingers are in the right place. They just drop onto the note. So things like the hurricane. I just ken my fingers are going to be in the right place all the time, so that doesn't come accidentally. It's just practice, perseverance. There's no shortcuts with this sort of thing. So clean as a whistle when you're going up and coming down. There is space to slide a little bit, I suppose, but it's sliding onto notes and off of notes is not really a part of the Scottish fiddle tradition. Traditionally it's you will hear folk doing it. Some styles in Ireland much more prevalent, but one of the old players that I grew up hearing you've barely heard slides. There was sort of coming off a notes in third position, like it was almost like a sigh, but you have to be careful not to overdo it, or you're certainly not playing in a traditional Scottish style if you do. So I'll play that through once again, and then we're going to move on to Hector a Hero. Right, Lochmic after 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Go. So that's Lochmic, unpublished, so you want to find it on a book. If you were looking at my post earlier, you'll hear the notes on my timeline now, I suppose. So, Hector a Hero. In some ways, I kind of almost wouldn't think of doing this tune because it's such a well-kent tune, but that sometimes isn't a bad thing. That's familiar and it's easy to play along with because folk really ken it, but this is more about how you play it. Hector a Hero. James Scott Skinner wrote this for him. I saw a post up recently for somebody saying he was a friend of James Scott Skinner. Sir Hector MacDonald, or Fighting Mac as he was known. I've never heard any evidence that they were friends, or whether they even met. Now that is obviously could be the case that they did. The fact with Sir Hector MacDonald, he spent so much time abroad overseas with the British Army that he wasn't really back in the UK for any length of time, regardless of whether it was Scotland or London. So the chances of the two of them meeting up were probably quite limited, but that's not to say it didn't happen, because he certainly had a wife and kids in Scotland, but it's reported he was only ever home to Scotland to see his wife a couple of times, and he had a couple of kids. So he's what you would call in the farming industry a province sire. He's fairly accurate shot there. But he was a remarkable man, Sir Hector. He started as a private in the Gordon Highlanders. He was up near Dingwall, and he joined the Gordon Highlanders and really rose to the top of the army through merit on the battlefield. Now, the British Army at the time of the Crimean War and before that, and after it actually as well, you bought commissions. So if you're a wealthy landowner or aristocrat, I fancy being a colonel in the Lifeguards. If you had enough money, you could buy your way in. Hector was a rare individual in that he did it through battlefield honours. So he was in a lot of key places, a lot of tough places in the British Empire at the time. They were in lots of tough places, whether it was Afghanistan or South Africa or the Sudan or the Crimea. Hector saw a lot of action, and a lot of the time he was promoted because he was so key to the success. And there's a number of occasions disaster was averted by his bold action. So he got the nickname Fighting Mac. And in Scotland especially, he was kind of idolised. He was a national hero, and I suppose he lived up to the Scottish image of the kind of the fighting man in the kilt. He was the epitome of that. He was a man who really despised the kind of officer class hobnobbing at tea time. Kind of 6 o'clock, it's time for gin and tonic. He didn't like that. He would prefer to go and study military tactics. And so as a result of him being well, he was a peasant and jealousy and actually nae wanting to be part of that set, he was quite widely disliked by the officer class in places and resented. Eventually he was posted to Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka, where he was appointed as Her Majesty's Commander of all military forces in Ceylon. Now that's quite a big posting. So when he was out there was this accusation of homosexual activity, which was pretty serious stuff, and he was called back to London to answer for what had gone on, and it turned up in the papers. And he was a kind of quiet man, quiet, private. This didn't go doing well with him. So he was on his way back. He got to Paris. On the way to London, he was in his hotel room, picked up his paper. On the front page was the story about Sir Hector's accusations. So he pulled the service revolver out of his holster and blew his brains out. A subsequent inquiry found that there was absolutely no evidence, anything at all in it. It's pretty clear it was a smear campaign by some jealous bureaucrats in Ceylon. So you often hear it said about, oh, he was homosexual and that, and it's nothing to do with the fact that he was or he wasn't. It's just there is no evidence that he was, and his reputation's been unjustly tarnished by what happened there. And they did find that he had a wife and kids, and he'd been expressly forbidden to marry by Lord Kitchener in the Sudan, because he expected his staff officers to be married to the service. They should not have wives because they were a distraction, he felt. So that's what he was hiding. So there's poor old Hector. And so Skinner, he may have met him, but I think it was just an outpouring of national grief, and it was his way of expressing that. So it's a beautiful tune. I'm going to play it as I play it. This is out of the Fiddle Musica Scotland collection, James Hunter's book, which I often use for teaching with. And like in the book, first measure is played down the octave on a G string. Second time round you go up the octave. So the first finger on the G then becomes an open A. Okay, so thereafter it bides up there. So, okay, with feeling. Okay, so I'm just playing it as it's written in the book, pretty much. So the second measure, I didn't repeat it. Although, I'll be honest, I usually would tend to do that if I'm playing. on my own. Anyway, it's a beautiful tune. I've heard various folk doing it up-tempo kind of folk rock versions with bagpipes, and you do frequently hear it on the pipes because it sits quite nicely. And I've heard folk with the opinion, oh, it's a pipe tune, naking in its background, but it's certainly a James Scott Skinner tune, and probably I'd say it's one of his simpler ones, but it just shows you how it doesn't need to be complicated and really wildly expressive to be a great bit of music. It's just a beautiful tune. So like on a slow air, I play it lyrically. The tempo moves about, speeds up and slows down at the end of phrases, end of measures, end of the tune. Louds and softs to give it colour. I try to treat this tune like I'm playing it for somebody I ken, somebody that I know. It's easier to get into the feel of the tune if you have some mental attachment to it. So thinking about somebody close to you that has died, how would you feel? That's what you're trying to express in a slow air. And when you're playing it as a soloist, if you've got an audience, if you really feel it, your audience are far more likely to pick up on that. So that's what I'd say you should strive to achieve. I've mentioned before, Hector McAndrew said that you're not a fiddler unless you can make yourself great when you're playing. And that really applies to slow airs and being so emotionally engaged and so moved by the feeling and everything that you're pouring into that music that it's actually tears are rolling down your face. And I've heard several folks saying that they observed Hector being like that. I mean, I think Neil Gow would said he was visibly moved when he heard folk playing his favourite Scottish fiddle tune, which was Greg's, which goes... goes on. So I'm just going to play it again. I mean, the tune's pretty straightforward, but if you are playing along, try to instill a sense of emotion into your slow airs, because they're not dance tunes, they're listening tunes, and if you want an audience to be engaged with what you're doing and hanging on every note, it's not about being technically the best, it's about just really being able to express it. And you can, a bit of vibrato definitely helps colour a sound, but you didn't hate it. I mean, there's a lot of brilliant Baroque music which generally doesn't use vibrato on the string parts, have loads of feeling. So speed of the bow becomes more important when you're looking to change the volume. So keep it flowing is another thing. It may slow down to almost nothing, but it never completely stops unless you get a big dramatic pause. And sometimes that happens. You could do it in this tune. In fact, I'll demonstrate. So that it kind of leaves that note hanging. It's very dramatic, and you almost get a sense that your audience are scared to breathe, even because it's going to shatter the magic, the silence. You leave that note hanging and come in gentle. I might do that for that particular tune. Some tunes that works with it, a lot of others it doesn't. But other than that, the bow never really stops. But there is a lot of ebb and flow, pushing and pulling the tempo, tied in with louds and softs. So I'll do it once again, and then we'll move on to the reel. So this is Hector Hero. Let me see if I can read it for here. I'm going to read the wee bit before I play it, because it's dramatic stuff to accompany this, and it gives you a sense of the mood when Skinner was writing this. Oh, wail for the mighty in battle, loud lift ye the coronach strain, for Hector, the hero of deathless fame, will never come back again. Powerful stuff. And then the tune begins. Okay, so there you go, Hector Hero. Right, Peter Mill tune, Peter Milne, the Tarlin Minstrel. This is a tune called Deverin's Side, and it's not a well-kent tune, I have to say. I don't really hear it very often. I've heard it now and again. And this can be found in the Elphinstone collection. So if you have a look for that, you'll find that. I posted it earlier as well, so if you've seen that, you will already have a copy. So Deverin's Side, the River Devern runs through to Huntly. It comes out past Glass, out the hills there, for the direction of Dufton. So if you're going from Dufton to Huntly, you will certainly cross the Devon and follow it. It goes into Huntly, the Strathbogie Burn, the Bogie Burn, it runs in to Huntly and joins the Devon, and it carries on north and it comes out to the North Sea, or the Murray Firth, I suppose it's fine out, between Banff and Macduff. So it's a famous river for salmon fishing, and right at the mouth there's a whisky distillery, so it's a grand place, is Deverin's Side. Real whisky country up in the upper limits of it. So a Peter Mill tune, Deverin's Side. So I'll play it through. I've got the music up here just to keep me right. Okay, so Deverin's Side. Not much to say about it really. Keep the rhythm steady in tempo. It's debatable, I suppose, a matter of choice whether you think that's too quick or not quick enough. Again, bear in mind you should be able to dance to it, but if you're not playing for dancing, does it matter? I suppose. Does it still have lift? Does it make you want to tap your feet? So a tune like this, it moves about, there's a lot of crossing the strings. Just make sure that every note that you play comes through nice and clear. So I'm going to strip it right back. There's much less to say about reels generally compared to spades and slow airs, but yeah, I'll take it slow and steady, and hopefully anybody who wants to will be able to play along. So nice and gentle. 2, 3. A wee bit slower. Second half's a bit, well, I'd say it's a bit of fickery kind. Yeah, you could mishear if I said there, but fickery. It's a bit of tickly to play, so we'll take it a little bit slower. kind of that's still too quick. I've no way of telling, but hopefully that's a speed that most folk could cope with there. Second half's interesting. There's it's like a wee run down the scale, always coming up to open A. Of course, if you're playing it, you would have accents, nothing too obvious and subtle, and you shouldn't really feel like you're trying to add accents, but inevitably there will be. So instead of going adds a lot of lift if you didn't hear that. Yeah, a wee bit flat-footed. So the accents, the use of your wrist really helps. So a supple wrist really helps give that wee bit of snap and helps give the music a bit of flow. If you've got your wrist locked up when you're playing for the elbow, it will have, well, how would you put it? It sounds like sawing sticks, I suppose. Just so this accenting helps give the music lift. You probably, if you watch my wrist, see how much use it's got coming into it when you're crossing the strings. I got hypnotised by my own bow in there. Anyway, so it's a lovely tune. It's a shame it's no better kent, and it's definitely accessible to most players. I mean, it's in A, which for any fiddler I think it's the most accessible, straightforward key to play. And as I said, if anybody wants to, I mean, if you didn't see the music and you can't get it, I can certainly get it to you. But it's in the Elphinstone collection, which has got every Peter Milne tune, certainly up to that point, that I could find. I had this put together while I was at the Elphinstone Institute, so I left there in 2008, so that's 12 years ago that I finished. But this is one of the kind of end results that I came up with, was previously unpublished music for the northeast of Scotland. But within that, decided to include every Peter Milne tune that we could find, because there's a handful of tunes were really well kent. Like John McNeill, great tune. But a lot of this stuff, I mean, it was spread about, some collections hard to find, so we actually managed to find 18 tunes in addition to what had previously been published, and that was quite amazing actually. So every tune up to that point of Peter Milne that we know about is in that collection. So they're in the Elphinstone collection. So a good book to get hold of for that point of view for Peter Milne stuff. But I mean, obviously tunes turn out. I mean, we published one or two James Scott Skinner tunes in that collection, and then just a few years ago I bumped into somebody and it turned out they had a collection of, was it 130 handwritten James Scott Skinner tunes, 30 of which had never been published in any collection. So it's a bit late for something like this. It would have been ideal, but so I mean, their stuff does turn up. So I'm not saying there's no more Peter Milne stuff out there, but there may be tunes lurking around. So I'm going to play Devon's Side once again, and then I think that'll be me for tonight. We've got our concert on Friday, live at the lounge. Fits in the box, doodle-doo. Might do something else, might not even do that, might just do Fit Kind of Whiskey Have I Got, or something else. I may come up with another game entirely. So if you've enjoyed this and you want to chip in, tip jar is www.paypal.me/Paul Anderson Shona Dawn. I'll be back next week and just plotter through a few tunes, a couple tunes that maybe folk than I can. We'll see. Who knows? I may have a theme. I might not have any theme except I fancy playing a tune. Friday night, as much as possible, we'll be doing stuff I've not played before, and that will include stuff I've been requested for. So if you can look in at 8 o'clock UK time on Friday, we'll certainly be here. Meantime, I will probably post the odd tune here and there, so look out for them. So, Devon Insight to finish up, and then we'll maybe see you back here next week, or on Friday. Good night. Have a good night, folks. All the best. And I'll try and get back to one of these comments and hellos once I get my fiddle put in a way. Okay, have a good night. Cheerio.